Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We have some confirmed decisions when it comes to some Arsenal players. Kieran Tierney, Albert Samuel Konga, Thomas Partey, and a couple of others will be leaving Arsenal. That is confirmed, done and dusted. But also we have futures hanging by a thread. That is Emile Smith-Rowe. According to reports, Arsenal will hold talks with Emile Smith-Rowe this coming week to determine whether the player stays or he goes. But it is more likely, according to rumors in the corridors, that he's going to be leaving Arsenal as well. Fabio Vieira will be sold if offers arrive. That means that Fabio Vieira is another player Arsenal are going to be getting rid of. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. I want us to dive into some of the big stories, especially when it comes to the confirmed departures. Some players are going to be leaving the club, and of course I've had a few accusations from people telling me that I want Thomas Partey to leave. I don't decide whether Partey stays or doesn't stay. It is not my call. And secondly, I am not happy that Partey is leaving. I'm just happy that Arsenal are finally going to get a reliable number 6, someone who can sit in that position for quite a reasonable point in time, or a reasonable amount of time, in a season. So if we can get a striker, a midfielder who can play 30 games or 35 games, I think that is much better than Thomas Partey playing 5 games, 6 games. Now I know many of you in the comment box below are very attached to Thomas Partey. You love him. He's African and this channel is in Africa, so I can understand the level of attachment. But if we want to challenge the Man Cities and the Manchester United, by the way, who have won back-to-back trophies in back-to-back seasons, Arsenal have got to get reliable players. Let's get into it. Let's start off with Emile Smith-Rowe. Now, according to Team News Antics and also Charles Words, Emile Smith-Rowe is going to meet with Arsenal to have a final decision meeting where they will actually talk about his career and his future as well. Now, according to them, Emile Smith-Rowe still has a lot of admiring to the club. He would love to stay, at Arsenal. He's got a big admiration for the club. However, at 23 years of age, the player and his entourage are considering game time. So what is important right now to Emile Smith-Rowe is game time. Yes, he loves Arsenal and he would love to stay, and it's a very big club and very a big part of his life and career, but he would love to get some game time, and this is where the decision has to be made. Is Mikel Arteta going to make him an important player next season, or is he actually going to move on and go to the next club, which could be, as we are hearing, Aston Villa or Newcastle? Now, for me to start with Mikel Arteta, this is what I want to happen. I want Mikel Arteta to start using his fringe players. I want Mikel Arteta to start using his squad depth, and we've talked about it all the time in the transfer window. Mikel Arteta needs squad depth. Mikel Arteta needs this and that. When you consider that Arsenal are getting out of the Carabao Cup and FA Cup early, it just doesn't make any sense for us not to prioritize these trophies that could actually give some of these players enough game time. So I'm of the view that Mikel Arteta should actually prioritize the Carabao Cup and prioritize the FA Cup next season, because that is where, if you sign Olise, that is where he's going to play a lot of his minutes in. That's where the likes of Gabriel Martinelli or Trossard, depending on who will be starting, that's where they're going to be playing a lot of their minutes, minutes as well. And that's where the likes of Jakub Kiwior, Takero Tomiyasu, and a couple of others, that's where they're going to be playing. That's where they're going to, get their game time. So when you get knocked out of these competitions on the first try or even second try, it doesn't make any sense. Look at Man City, and they played another FA Cup final, by the way, back-to-back FA Cup finals now, and that's how Pep Guardiola keeps his players very happy, because Josko Gvardiol knows that at the beginning of in the beginning stages of the FA Cup, he doesn't have to play, because in there, maybe Rico Lewis is going to be playing, at right back or left back, and then you have maybe Oscar Bob playing in midfield. So I think that is what should happen. We should prioritize other trophies to give the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, more game time. Now, are we going to see him stay? I don't see Emile Smith-Rowe stay at Arsenal. I think it's going to be a very hard decision for him to make loves the club. We love him, and the fan base loves him very much. And many people think he's a more bigger talent than Martinelli and Saka. Well, we might get to know that when he joins another club. At the moment, Emil Smith-Rowe might not be one of the players that actually stay at Arsenal. So a decision has been made for Arsenal and Emil Smith-Rowe to meet and discuss his future, and I will be giving you the outcome of that decision. We might hear sad news that is going to be going to Newcastle, because Newcastle are knocking on the door for Emil Smith-Rowe, and I won't be surprised if anything comes in for between 40 to 45 million. I see him as a Cole Palmer. I see him as one of those players that go out elsewhere and do electric business and do electric moves, on the football pitch. So, is he the next Cole Palmer, leaving a club like Man City and Arsenal to go to another club where he can be the hero? Probably. Yes, he's had injuries, but I don't think Mikel Arteta is 100% sure he's going to be giving him the game time he deserves. He's just 24. He's entering his prime. I think he's targeting the next World Cup and the next Euros. Time to leave Arsenal? You let me know in the comment box below. Now, Arsenal have received, not Arsenal, but really, but Partey has received 4 offers, 2 from Turkey and 2 from Italy. Napoli are interested in signing Thomas Partey, and so are Juventus, but also Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, both Turkish clubs, are still very much interested in signing Thomas Partey. Now, with Turkish clubs, one thing we know about them, they love a cheap deal. They love a bargain. Those rascals will do whatever it takes to wait for a player's contract, and they will come and sign him on a free, or they'll come and sign him for 5 million, 6 million, or even less than 10 million. So Partey has been receiving a couple of offers. Of course, there is the idea that he might decide to go to, the Saudi Arabian Pro League, or if that is a thing that could happen. Again, we're hearing that he wants to stay around London, not London, but Europe. So Turkey and Italy might be viable options. I think with Partey, we have there is conclusion that he will go. There is a confirmation from Fabrizio that he's actually going to go. I think when it comes to Partey, the question is how much Arsenal, charge, and how much do we want? Because for me, he's a player that Arsenal can get in excess of 10 million, but that is going to take some good negotiation. He's been out for the bigger part of the season. Yes, he's come back and he's done well, but it's no guarantee that he's going to give you, a full season. And I don't think Arsenal can negotiate with, with Partey as a solid asset right now. So if any club comes in and they're giving us 10+ million, I see him living at that, at that money. Now, I know many of you in the comments are going to tell me he is 20 million, he is 30 million. Maybe he would be, I don't know, maybe he would be. Maybe he would be like Granit Xhaka. But the key component Granit Xhaka had, despite the fact that he had improved a lot under Mikel Arteta, he is a durable player. Granit Xhaka, just to put this into perspective, has won a double with Bayer Leverkusen, an unbeaten season with them, and he has scored in the final for the DFB Pokal as they were winning it. So he's literally played every single minute for these guys. Xhaka doesn't pick up injuries. With Partey, he's a more quality player than Xhaka. So if you had 2 years on his deal or 3 years on his deal, and he was a durable player, he plays almost every single time, clubs would be dying to pay 30+ million. But his injury record and the fact that his contract at Arsenal is running down, it just means that Partey is a 10+. Between 10 to 15, that's what I would say. And I wouldn't be disappointed if Arsenal get anything above 10. Anything below 10, I will be disappointed a little bit. Another player that we can confirm is leaving Arsenal is Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney has said his goodbyes to Arsenal. Of course, he's had a couple of interviews, a series of interviews where he's been talking about his future. First, he talked about Mikel Arteta and how and Mikel as a manager, and he says he's a very, very good manager. But when I think about my position, when you look at my position, there is Alexander Zinchenko, Yulen Timber, Jakub Kiwior, Takara Tomiyasu. I don't think I am going to go there to compete for a position. I think I'm going back to Arsenal to find a new home and to find a new place. So my agent and the club are going to do whatever it takes. So Kieran Tierney is one player that is going to be leaving Arsenal. I think with Mikel Arteta, what he has done is clear out most of the Unai Emery and Arsene Wenger signings. To put that into perspective, if El Neni leaves, right? If El Neni leaves, apart from the players that are homegrown, Gabriel Martinelli will be Arsenal's longest-serving, servant among players that were signed from elsewhere. He was signed from Ituano in Brazil, right? So, Kieran Tierney, I think he knows that the manager wants players that are his. He wants players that he has groomed himself and players that he has chosen himself. And Kieran Tierney is not part of that. Does he have the minerals to play at Arsenal? I still think he has. I still think as a player, Kieran Tierney should stay at Arsenal. I still think Kieran Tierney can give us something, right? But I think we have already moved on from that chapter. I think Mikel Arteta and Arsenal walked away from Kieran Tierney as a chapter 2 years ago. So right now, it's all about finding a permanent decision and a permanent, position for him, and then he leaves Arsenal. It's a sad story because he was one of the hard-working guys. Work ethic was top notch, but injuries again, you cannot trust him. You cannot trust him. Him, Zichenko, Antomiyasu, that is already disaster when it comes to injury-prone nature. So I think it's gonna go. That is already confirmed. You won't see Kieran Tierney playing at Arsenal next season. That is, decision final taken. Another player that is going to be leaving, and this is also confirmed, done and dusted, is Albert Sambi Lokonga. I don't want to talk much about Albert Sambi Lokonga because you all know about this deal. Albert Sambi Lokonga has talked to the media, and he has said the manager and the club and my agent should work. Should work to find the next steps for me, because the club has had, I've had conversations with the club, and they have confirmed that I do not have a place here at Arsenal Football Club. Now, I was watching 90 Min, and one Arsenal fan, Harry Simeon, love Harry Simeon very, very much, and he was saying that maybe we could give Albert Sambi Lokonga one more year just to look at him. I would understand the sympathy and the empathy in that statement, keeping Lokonga for 1 year and see how he develops as a player. But again, I'm going to say this. I think he's one of the players that this project has moved past. I don't see him get an expendable comeback. However much the script is beautiful, it's over for Albert Sambi Lokonga and Arsenal. So he's going to be leaving, and I reckon one of the clubs that are being promoted, Leeds, Southampton, who else has been promoted? Ipswich and Leicester. I reckon one of those clubs might actually want to pick him up, or Luton Town might actually want to sign him since he has had a very good season there. So that is confirmed as well. That is done and dusted. He's leaving. We're just waiting to find a club. Aaron Ramsdale to Newcastle. This for me is pretty much nailed on. Now, when you factor into all this, Ramsdale has worked with Eddie Howe at Bournemouth. Howe is the manager now at Newcastle. Newcastle is the crazy outfit linked with Aaron Ramsdale. Does it make any sense? Am I speaking sense? He's going to go to Newcastle. 100%, I am so sure of this deal. I'm not sure who Arsenal is going to sign, because it's kind of scattergun approach, and Arsenal really don't go with the scattergun approach. By this time last year, we knew Declan Rice was our number one. By this time, the year before that, we knew Gabriel Jesus was our number one. We knew that Odegaard was going to sign for Arsenal, and Arsenal were willing to wait for him regardless of how long it was going to take. That was 2 or 3 years ago. When it comes to this summer, I'm not really sure. It seems like a scattergun approach that we're going with. I don't know. But when it comes to departures, we know who is going to be leaving. And that's what tells me that this summer is more about offloading rather than loading, right? So, Ramsdale to Newcastle, I'm like 70% is going to happen, right? Now, again, I've heard from Harry Simeon that, he thinks we could get around 20-25 million from Ramsdale. I'm not really sure about that. I think Arsenal could raise something like 30 to 35 for me. Young goalkeeper, homegrown English, could be the future of England. I think there is a lot of marketable assets and facets about this guy. But talk to me in the comment box below. And finally, Fabio Vieira is going to be sold if an offer comes in. Mikel Arteta has made the decision that he's one of the players to whom we are going to listen offers for. Now, for me, Fabio Vieira is a player I like. And everybody knows on this channel that I really rate him very much. I'm going to blame two things why Fabio Vieira doesn't play. One is Mikel Arteta. Second is injuries. I think he's picked up injuries that are useless. Like, you're not playing a lot of football, but you're picking up a lot of injuries. Like, bro, what's going on? But then the other thing is Mikel Arteta. It's a thing I've talked about it at the beginning of this video. Why are you dropping out of competitions where Fabio Vieira, Emil Smith-Rowe, Albert Sambi-Lokonga, and all these other players could be valuable assets? Why are you not prioritizing the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup? Why don't you play Declan Rice alongside Fabio Vieira and maybe Jorginho against an Everton, against a West Ham? Why don't we see some quality mixed with mixed with the players that you want to get some minutes but cannot get into the starting 11 all the time? For me, Fabio Vieira is a quality player. Brought in, like, I think as a backup to Martin Odegaard, but he could do much better. And the signing of Kai Havertz meant that Mikel Arteta doesn't trust Fabio Vieira and didn't trust Fabio Vieira to be the guy this season. Because if he trusted him, then Fabio Vieira would have been the natural successor to Granit Xhaka. Declan Rice would have played in that pivot in midfield, and then Arsenal would have signed a striker, right? So, still, Arsenal going out to sign a number 6. That means that Declan Rice is going to play as a number 8. Fabio Vieira's time at Arsenal might have come to an end. His sale is now being considered, and I think it's not a surprise to me at all.